Hey, welcome. We are now in week number 10 of our virtual book club for Think and Grow Rich. I can't believe we only have 13 steps to go to, and we're now on 9. So this is pretty cool. This is the version that I'm reading from. This is the original unedited version from 1937. And I share that with you because there are words in here, language that they use that we don't use anymore. And so when I do these recaps and review the book and talk about what it is that I learned, I try to use words that we still use that are relevant for today, right? But this is the book by Napoleon Hill, written, as I said, in 1937. There are 13 steps in here that he talks about that will help lead us to success, to the riches that we desire. And those 13 principles, 13 steps, they are still relevant in today's time. That is why I'm reading this book. And when I decided to do the virtual book club, it was twofold. One of the reasons was because I wanted to read the book again. I thought it would be exciting for people to go on the journey with me. The other part is that I wanted to encourage people to read. And one of the reasons is because a lot of people don't read. I found this out when I wrote my book. When I wrote my book, people supported me, they bought my book, didn't mean that they read it. And I know a lot of times people don't read because they don't have time, right? When we know that you make time for the things that you want to make time for. But people are so busy that they just don't find the time to read. And so I wanted to encourage people to read again because it's so important. There's so much you can learn from a book, not just a non-fictional book like this, even from fictional. You can take vacations with people, right? You can learn about new places. There's so much to get out of a book. And another thing is that I know research has shown that people who love to read, most of the time they have parents who love to read or read in front of them. If they see how you can love a book, it will rub off on them and then maybe they'll pick up one too. It is something to be said when you don't have to be ignorant, right? Like we can all pick up a book and learn something. But, I just wanted to share that with you. But today we're here to talk about the ninth step towards riches, and that is the power of the mastermind. So, Napoleon Hill, I don't know how many of you know what a mastermind is. I'm sure many of you have heard that term because we still use it today. And as I said, the 13 steps he talks about, they're still relevant. They're still relevant to the success that we want or can have today. But when he talks about the mastermind, he's talking about where two or more people, as he says, come together in perfect harmony for a specific purpose. So he's saying that two or more people coming together to share their experiences, their knowledge, their money in some cases for a greater good, right? Something that they all want to achieve together. And he even talked about how the mind is energy. So if I'm in a mastermind with one other person, I'm bringing my energy. That other person is bringing their energy. But he also said, when you have 1 + 1, it equals 3. And the reason I say that, because he says when you have one person and another person, there is a third invisible force that's there. And that's the infinite intelligence. And that energy that is brought to, bringing these two together and bringing these ideas together that they come up with is based on the fact that there is more creativity that can happen when you have two or more people together. If we all could get to where we want to get to by ourselves, I'm sure we would have achieved it. I'm sure you heard that it's easier or you get somewhere faster when you bring someone else with you. It's a slower road if you just go on your limited knowledge, your limited information, your limited thinking, right? When two or more are gathered together, there's so much more you can do. And I just wanted to share that with you. And the other thing is, and I'm sure you heard this saying too, that if you're the smartest person in your circle, then you need to get a new circle. because there's something about when there are people who come together who know more than you, they can bring you up. And then you bring up somebody that, who you know more than. This is how it works. This is how we all climb together. No one gets to the success that they desire by themselves. And I can tell you this as well. If you have a dream that you can achieve on your own, then you're dreaming too small. You're dreaming too small. Your dream needs to be big enough that God needs to be in it for it to ever happen. And the other thing is that it needs to be big enough where you need to rely on someone else, on what it is that they can bring to you. Now, I don't know how many of you have participated in a mastermind. I've been part of one before, and it is amazing the things you come up with and the things you can create when you're coming together. You have this day set aside where you meet weekly, or how often ever you do it, but you set this time aside, come together, and you just throw things out there. You're masterminding together, you're brainstorming, and it's amazing the things that come from that. So I just wanted to share that with you. There is something else that I wanted to share. I talked about how Napoleon Hill talked about the mind, and the mind being energy, right? So I'm bringing my thoughts to the mastermind. Everybody else is bringing their thoughts, and it's just energy all out there. And that energy together is creating some greater things, right? That's what we're talking about. But I wanted to share this with you too, because he says, where you are and what you are is based on what you think. Let me say that again. Where you are and what you are is based on your thinking. Our realities start here in our thoughts. How many people have heard that most people don't like to think? Yeah. We choose to be ignorant. I bring that up a lot because it's something that really resonates with me, that ignorance is a choice. But we can break that cycle. We can go beyond. We can start thinking. We can start researching. We can start learning for ourselves and changing the lens that we see the world through. Because when we change our thoughts and we change the way we see the world, we get new realities. Go figure. And it starts with the thought. Just saying. Okay, so let me get back to this because there were so many great things that I got out of this book. He talked about how plans are useless without the power to translate them into action. And when he talks about power, he's talking about the organized knowledge, right? So that is the knowledge from the universe, the infinite intelligence. He's talking about knowledge that you gain from schooling and also from your experiences. And then the third way he talks about organized, or talks about how to get organized knowledge, is by research. When people have gathered and classify facts, right, and share them, those are the ways to get the power, the organized knowledge. He talked about how every person that he interviewed, every person that he knew that was in his circle, and even Andrew Carnegie's circle, was people who participated in masterminds. That most great things that happened because of people having a mastermind. Talked about Henry Ford and how Henry Ford was one way. His mastermind included his wife, who was totally different from him. And she was able to give him some of the things that he didn't have for himself. And so he shared all of that. But, we have to be more intentional about what it is that we want, more intentional about the people who we allow in our lives to help us get there. I always tell people, read, think, and then meditate as you read. That is how you get rid of the ignorance, how you elevate yourself, or as we're saying nowadays, level up, right? But that is how you get to that place. This chapter, The Power of the Mastermind, it was not a big chapter. It didn't take that long to read. But I did just want to share some things with you. And there were some things that came to me as I was reading this. I wanted to share that success has to be planned and earned. There are some people who have luck, right? But you can create luck. We all know luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. We all can create that. We can create that by being prepared and putting ourselves in that way, in that space. He also talked about how success is the knowledge. No, that's not what he talked about. I'm sorry. I don't even remember what this was that I wrote here. But it's all good because if I come back and think about it next week, I'll share it then when I'm doing the next one. And the next chapter is going to be interesting. But it's really just amazing if we get out of our own way and know that we can't do this alone. That there is power in numbers. And mind you, with a mastermind, you may not want a large amount of people, but you need more than one. But I'm just saying, you need to have someone else at least to challenge your thoughts, challenge the direction that you're going, and challenge the things that you're doing. So I wanted to share that with you. I hope you are enjoying this virtual book club. I am. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm done with Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if I'll go back to, if I'll go and do another book or, what will happen. But I have been enjoying this and I look forward to next week's. And just to give you a heads up, this next chapter, which is the 10th step, is called The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. I know, right? He talks about sex in this book, as he does. And he talks about it being a very powerful force. And so we will talk about that the next time. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.